can watch live TV on my new Sprint phone.
Well, my Sprint phone has TV and downloads music.
I can check email.
I have that. And crime deterrent.
What?
Try and take my wallet.
Give me your...
Live TV, wireless music downloads, email, and crime deterrent.
I'm filing a grievance, Ben.
On the Sprint PowerVision network.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to This Week in Mobile. I'm your host, Ashley Esqueda, and you know, I don't care how old that commercial is. I love it so much. Everybody should have a theft deterrent on their cell phone. It's funny every time. Joining us in studio, as always, my co-host, Mike Hobbs.
Hi, Ashley.
Apple evangelist.
Yep.
Did you, you're not going to steal my phone anymore, I'd imagine. I have theft deterrent on this. This is a Sprint phone.
I wasn't planning on it anyway.
I will throw it in your face.
Okay.
If you try to take it to smash it.
All right, then.
Did you burn your LeBron jersey last night?
No, I didn't. You know, funnily enough, I was watching Larry King for some reason when the announcement was made, and I could care less. I'm sure he's a very nice guy, LeBron James, but...
I've heard otherwise. I don't know. Maybe he's not.
He seems like a nice guy, but...
He seems like a nice gentleman.
Nice gentleman to me, but...
Okay.
Yeah.
I know you're a really big sports fan.
No, I'm not.
Well, today on the show, we have Jake Yanchar to talk about Diacarta, which is a really cool... It's an iPhone app that is... It's like a personal planner for your day.
Yeah, it's just a beautiful, simple
it's
daily
gorgeous.
planner. Yeah.
Really gorgeous. But let's do the news. That feels so rock and roll. I like it. First, the order of the week is, unfortunately for you Nexus 1 fans out there, apparently Eric Schmidt, the CEO of Google, has nixed the idea of a Nexus 2 coming out. Even though Google tried really hard with the Nexus 1 to change the way people bought smartphones, they wanted to set up an online store and have it so people could choose a phone and then pick the carrier they wanted. And all they say, it didn't really work out. They decided to close shop, I think like 2 months ago now.
I think they didn't give it very much of a shot. I think they closed it pretty fast.
Well, they didn't have a lot of carrier support. And I think that was the biggest problem, was when you started seeing phones like the Incredible and the Evo come out, Verizon and Sprint were just like, well, why do we want to go through a third party where people can buy the Nexus 1 if they're not going to go through us?
Right.
Like Google was making the money on that. I don't know.
But still, even as their phone, you would think that they would have stuck it out a little bit longer. I guess they didn't really believe in that philosophy very much.
Yeah, I guess not. Well, they may have just decided it was not worth pursuing.
Yeah, like
an
we'll see how this goes, and then it didn't go so well.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it did okay. Like, it wasn't terrible, but it didn't exactly do. It didn't exactly do what they had thought it would do.
I guess.
You know, it's a real bummer for developers, because if you're looking to have stock Android on a phone that gets updated right when a build gets released, like 2.2, the Nexus 1 is the only phone with Froyo on it right now. And that's the only way that you can get it, other than the developer's kit. But on a phone, that is the only official release of 2.2. So I'm not really sure what that means down the line for devs in terms of future releases. But I know that last week we had talked about how Google had said that they want to basically take 3.0 or 2.3 or whatever it's going to be, gingerbread, the next build of Android is going to be a little bit more universal in terms of they're going to try to get away from these companies building these custom UIs where it takes 6 months to update it, or a year, or never in the case of some phones. And I think that in the end that's probably a really good thing.
But I'm just surprised at this, that there isn't going to be a Google sort of phone. I'm surprised. Yes, less surprised about the store being closed as that sort of way of selling being closed. But this idea that there isn't going to be,
that there will not be
a main.
My God, that was a loud buzzer. I don't even know who's calling me.
A main Google phone that will have the latest Android on it. I mean, they must have something in mind for this. I think something else in mind.
I would imagine so.
There's got to be some feature handset that's theirs. That's the Google flagship.
Right. See, and that's what I don't understand, is that the Nexus 1, for all intent and purposes, is a very popular phone. I know a lot of people who went to T-Mobile and AT&T, or they don't want another phone on T-Mobile or AT&T. That's the phone.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want an Android phone right now on T-Mobile and AT&T until the Galaxy comes out or whatever, the Vibrant. There's like 4 different names for them. They're like close to the exact same phone on all different carriers. But until that phone comes out, the Nexus one is it. And so for Google to sit there and say, oh, well, it was fun while it lasted. Like, I just couldn't believe that they just said, well, there's not really a need for it.
Yeah. And it's said that they're never going to get up to Nexus 6 and then get in a lot of trouble from the Philip K. Dick estate, which they did already for Nexus 1.
For Nexus, yeah, exactly. Well, maybe that's why. Do you think that they stopped, maybe they said they're discontinuing the Nexus to avoid lawsuit?
No, I don't know. You think it's just a change of naming convention as opposed to just not making a Google,
Maybe they're being coy on purpose. Maybe they're just saying, well, there won't be a Nexus 1, but but we didn't tell you the second half of the sentence, which is what I was thinking in my head, which was we have another phone coming out that's called something totally different.
Right. Unless they get all these other people in line with not having skins anymore, and then it's just it becomes a non-issue, but that seems a little ways off.
Yeah, that does seem a little ways off. Okay, so phone-wise, one of the phones that has been causing quite an uproar in the Android community is the Droid X. Comes out next week. If you want a Droid X, but you either can't cough up the money to either upgrade it out of contract, or even if you're up for contract but don't want to pay the $200, that's okay, because Twitter account Droid Landing is actually giving out clues as to the location of 21 different Droid X phones across the country. So if you're looking to get out there and get you a Droid X, this is the way to do it. How fun. It's a little scavenger hunt. This Twitter account gives clues. They're like, oh, Droid designate, number 4 is on the West Coast. And I think they gave away I think they gave away number 4 the other day, and it was in New York at a pier. A certain famous pier. So, and somebody found it, but it's not exactly a phone. You're not going to go open a flower, pull some flower pots up, and there will be a Droid X there. It's somebody with a certificate who'll give you the certificate to go trade in for a Droid. So, but really cool. And if you want to go run out of your house right now, please wait till the show's over. Unless you get, I know that they posted there's latitude coordinates.
Oh, yes.
For these phones. Once the clues start getting really specific, they post latitude, and people are running. People are running to the location of these phones. So really cool. If you're out there and you actually end up winning one of these or participating in the scavenger hunt, shoot us a message and let us know how that went, because I'm that's really exciting. That's like the Goonies, but instead of millions of dollars in jewels and sloth, you get a droid. It's super awesome.
I wish I had a great quote for Goonies now, but I just hope nobody gets hurt.
You should yell, "Hey, you guys!"
Oh, too late now.
You're no. The moment is past.
Moment's past.
Okay, so this is something that's kind of exciting. YouTube. We've been talking about how HTML5 is going to sort of be the future of browsing sites.
Or at least I think, as a video playback.
Video playback content, okay.
Yeah.
So YouTube actually, and Google, just released their new mobile site. And it's pretty amazing. I personally like it better than the actual app on my phone.
Yeah.
It's a little bit easier to navigate.
A little bit faster.
A little bit quicker.
Well, actually, there are a couple of good things about it.
Yeah, and I think, do you want to pull up our screens here and figure out? Okay, so this one on the Evo is is mine. So this is on the Evo. You've got everything going on. See Jason down there with This Week in Startups. So if you want to watch our show, it'll ask me what I want to play with. I have HTC Flash Player, Skyfire, YouTube. So.
Now I don't have all that on mine.
Well, that's because you have an iPhone.
But why do you have all these options?
So much fail. This is through Skyfire, which is my mobile browser. Yours is already.
Well, mine just natively supports the video.
You natively support the video? Maybe I have to play mine through HTC Flash.
And it just starts playing, and it's really beautiful.
Well, I get so many options. It's confusing to me.
Well, mine I didn't have to select any options. It just started playing.
That's because you don't get any options.
Beautifully there.
That's the point.
Look how smooth that is and beautiful. And what's really nice about this, the mobile web version as opposed to the app version, is that you have the HQ, which is the biggest thing for me, the HQ option.
That's true. You have the high quality option. Yeah, that's a big deal.
That's a really big deal. In the app, you don't have that, and that sucks. And then also, you can do thumbs up, thumbs down.
And you get the same experience across all your platforms.
And exactly, and then that's the other. Yeah, yours.
Which is important.
Except I think mine was just a little bit better there because of the It just started playing.
Well,
I didn't have to choose any.
Well, I use a separate browser. I use Skyfire instead of the default internet browser.
Oh, yeah.
So it might function a little bit different.
But yeah, so the mobile web, YouTube's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think I'll use it instead of the app.
I think I probably will too. Just natively, it's just I feel like it's faster.
It's just a little bit faster.
I've been playing around with it. Like I apologize for me like being stupid and not like not knowing which one to pick. But I've been playing around with it on Skyfire, and it's really cool.
But yeah.
So development-wise though, there was some news that came out this week. Boy Genius Report said that according to 401 mobile developers, which you could use as a I'm forgetting the term for it, but you could use it as a small ratio. Like you could use it a ratio.
All right.
401 mobile developers prefer Android to iPhone. They, like not 401 prefer, but of 401 developers interviewed, they prefer Android to iPhone.
Right.
Which is,
Which is a little different than the headline.
Oh yeah, that's true. The headline is, do Android developers outnumber iPhone developers?
And the answer to that is no. They don't outnumber them.
They don't outnumber them.
But they prefer working on.
They have more mobile experience with Android. That's what they were saying. They have more mobile experience with Android than with any other platform.
Or out of these 401 developers that they talk to, they prefer to develop for
But
Android.
you could scale that.
But yeah,
That's
sure,
scalable,
probably.
I'm sure.
I mean, what do you think that is? They just like the development environment more?
Well, they cited market penetration, development speed, money-making potential, and low-cost development tools, which I think is a big deal for developers.
But gosh, when you think of market penetration, I think of the App Store.
Do you really?
I mean, just in terms of getting your app out there to the most number of people.
See, but I feel like a lot of the stuff in the App Store for Apple, I mean, it's that way with every app store, but like when you look at something like the Android market, you tend to see things that are like, made in a way, like if you have to pay for something on the Android market, it's usually pretty good.
All right. Yeah, there are a lot more free apps on the Android market.
Yeah, if it's free, you can kind of wade through all of the junk by just saying, okay, like if I'm looking for something that does XYZ, like if I'm looking for something specific, I can probably find a paid app that's pretty good. Now, that being said, I know that there are apps like Twidroid out there and Seismic who just made their pro versions free. So that's not exactly every single time, but like generally speaking, if you're looking for something, usually you can go in and say, okay, if it's paid, I am going to check the reviews on it and see what it's like. In the App Store, it seems like there's so much more garbage to wade through that's 99 cents. Like when I pay 99 cents for something on Android Market, I feel like, because I have an iPod Touch that I'd never use anymore, but when I download something for free on the iPhone, I feel like I'm getting something that is not well built, as opposed to downloading something that might be for free on the Android market, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from, but I still think...
You're like, I disagree.
No, not really. No, I think that there's something to that.
Yeah. It seems like I wonder how much of that will change with HTML5. Like the preference thing. Like, do you think that maybe everybody will go to HTML5 and, if Adobe Air comes out, and
yeah, I don't know how much influence that's going to have. I think they'll just go wherever is easiest and they have the best chance of making a little bit of money.
Yeah, that's true. Somebody in our chat mentioned that it's their understanding that you have to submit an app, to become an Android dev. But if you want to be an Apple dev, all you have to do is pay $99. See, to me, like that seems counterproductive.
Right, but then there's still the approval process.
I suppose, but it's harder to get stuff into the Apple app market, or the App Store, not necessarily on its merit or if it's a good app, but just if it meets Apple standards.
Yeah, and then plus there are just so many that they're going through all the time.
Right.
They've got some headaches.
Well, I'm sure Android's going through the same thing. It just they tend to put them through a little bit quicker.
Yeah, I guess they approve more.
Yeah.
Lower standards.
Android users have lower standards.
No, I don't think that's not true.
You can see on my shirt today, I'm supporting Apple by...
Yeah, it is kind of
This is an Apple sports shirt right here. Apple killing Flash.
Yeah. Or it could just be a sort of...
it's probably a dig on Apple.
It must, I wouldn't expect so, but...
You wouldn't expect me to wear an Apple sports shirt?
No, I wouldn't.
We're going to have some kind of challenge that involves the other wearing like some sort of support shirt for Apple or Android.
Yeah, I'll take that challenge.
All right. I will fight you.
Whatever it may be.
We should fight.
Okay. Like a fist fight?
Yes. Knife fight. I want a knife fight like in West Side Story. Okay, I'll stop. You're like, that's so disturbing. So going with the development stuff, iOS has a bigger dev army than Android, but will cross platforms. So our good friends over at App Store HQ, who we interviewed a couple weeks ago, released some very interesting information this week. They opened up their dev directory, which lists all of the Apple, Google, and they called it Grapple, but I call it Goople developers, programmers. Single platform's pretty prevalent. Apple has the edge. That's, like you said, there's more. I mean, there's just more of a development community there right now.
It's had a head start, too.
Right, and it's had a large head start. But it looks like a lot of the most popular apps are the ones that are, sort of getting the most out of their app are developing cross-platform, which is really, really, that's win for everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's good for anybody, I'd rather have everybody develop cross-platform. Like, I'd love to have Hipstamatic for my Android.
Oh, sure, yeah. That's
a great app.
I agree, but I mean, it costs them money. I'm sure developers would prefer if they had their choice just to make for one platform.
Right.
Because it's a hassle to code it again.
Yeah.
And then to sell less or more, who knows? But
well, I think it's easier for bigger.
So that's why, these popular
developers.
apps and the bigger ones, it's easier for them to make.
It's easier for them to go ahead and port things over. They have more money. They have more resources to get that done. Mm-hmm. And for those of you asking where I got my shirt, I got it on woot.com. That's WOOT.com. It's actually shirt.woot.com, and I think right now you can find it in the Reckoning. Because I bought it like a week and a half ago. Okay, so I'm really excited about this.
Yeah, this is cool.
I'm a big gamer. Play World of Warcraft. What can I say? At level 80 Hunter. Argenton, look me up. Social gaming network, OpenFaint, which is on the iPhone right now, is coming to Android, which is awesome. OpenFaint, for those of you who are unaware, is the leading mobile social gaming ecosystem for iOS.
Yep.
Like, this is a place where a lot of different developers for games, for 3D games, can come in, make an app, make a game, and have it displayed. And, it has its own, market. Am I right?
Yeah. I mean, you can play against other people and have leaderboards and all this stuff.
Right, which is really, really cool.
It's like a little Xbox Live for mobile devices.
For mobile, right. Yeah. So that's going to come to Android, which is awesome.
That's great.
Finally. Because honestly, I really feel like on my phone, aside from the GameLoft stuff, which I have kind of avoided because of their return policy, and they changed it, but I was kind of annoyed with that. Aside from GameLoft, there's not a whole lot of really good 3D games for Android. And my Evo has such a nice shiny screen.
I know it.
It's huge. I want to play. One thing I had on my Palm when I had a Pre was I had Earthworm Jim, and it was the greatest thing ever. It was the best time killer. I love Earthworm Jim. So I'm really excited about OpenFaint. So keep an eye out for that. I think they said by the end of summer, right?
Yeah, I think so.
At the end of summer, early fall. So a few weeks.
That's cool, because you guys are going to have nothing like Game Center.
Yeah.
And in fact, I'm not sure what is going to happen to OpenFaint.
I don't know what's going to happen to OpenFaint when Game Center releases.
Comes out. If Apple, it's hard to believe they would try to integrate it, but they've already got such a big
Apple does not have a history of trying to integrate
unless
anything.
They would just. Only way they would integrate them is that, they would just buy them.
To buy them.
Yeah.
And then Android would probably no longer
lose
exist.
OpenFaint.
I'm very concerned about this next news story.
Yeah, this is, I would be concerned too.
I think a lot of people who love smartphones should be a little worried about this. So iSupply is a market research firm, and they put out this information saying that OLED screens are in serious shortage.
Yep.
I mean, obviously with the Droid Incredible right now is back ordered until God knows when. And Verizon actually, I think today, said that if you have an order for an Incredible and you haven't gotten it yet, you may switch over to a Droid X order for free. You may transfer your order to a Droid X. That's how bad the AMOLED shortage is for that.
Yeah.
Which is just sad.
It's frightening.
And frightening, yeah.
Which was the phone that they had where you were going to have the choice all of a sudden between an AMOLED or a TFT?
I don't think it was.
Were they doing it with the Incredible?
Choice, but I know that they switched out. Well, HTC got tired of waiting for their OLED screens, and I know that they had switched the type of screen. I think it's on AndroidandMe.com or Android Central. Somebody was mentioning that their friend got an Evo a couple weeks after the first batch of them had come out, and when they compared them side by side, the colors were totally different.
Right.
And, and that's supposedly that's because HTC has had to look for different screen manufacturers, which is crazy. Absolutely crazy.
Well, in this case with the AMOLEDs, you've only got, I think, 2 companies making them. Samsung
and LG.
makes them, and LG and Samsung, they want them in their own phones.
Well, yeah, Samsung, and they unveiled this, unfurled this giant plan for world domination with, AMOLED. And so they get first crack at all those screens. Like, no other company gets to say, well, hey, like, you're, share, because they're just like, well, they're my screens first. And then if you want them, then you can have them afterwards.
Right.
Like, it's just sort of, it kind of sucks.
It does.
And honestly, like, Samsung's going to open this new $1 billion, I think it's $2.2 billion plant for OLEDs. But that's not until 2012.
Yeah.
So we have another 2 years.
Yeah, before the plant's even online.
To even get any semblance of normalcy in this. I mean, there's a couple of other smaller OLED factories that are coming up.
Right.
But still, I mean, it's not being mass produced in a way that is not going to cause a shortage.
No, that's true.
At some point.
That's true.
Just so we know, just so we're all on the same page, clearly the AMOLED shortage will cause the downfall of civilization and the apocalypse at the end of 2012, like the Mayans predicted.
Oh, is that where you're going with this?
Yes.
I don't know about that. We'll see. I don't even know if AMOLED is really going to be the way forward.
I don't like the way it looks in direct sunlight.
I agree. I don't like.
I prefer. I don't know.
I mean, the ones that I've seen, I don't like the way they reproduce colors on there. They just look completely artificial and oversaturated.
I talked about that. Yeah, it was the reds were a little bit oversaturated,
and I think that's common in all the OLEDs that I've seen. I don't think they're very bright, vibrant, and exciting looking, but I don't think
they're almost too much.
They're not accurate.
Yeah, they're not accurate.
But they do have, great blacks. I mean, the Retina display is so nice. I mean, I could see TFT still being the way if you're going to do those kind of resolutions.
Well, and as you have bigger screens, though, I think AMOLED's going to be the way to go, because when you're backlighting black pixel, like when you're backlighting,
you never really want to.
You never really want to, and then on top of that, it's a battery waster. Even in a small way, even if it's 2 to 4%, that's still a lot for this phone. Like,
my
battery's already used up by 90 other things on this phone. Like, I don't need the screen using more.
That's a shame.
Yeah, is a shame.
Yeah, it's a shame.
Shut up. Okay, so now that you've bashed me, I'm going to go ahead and bash iPhone.
Okay.
So Android 2.2 demolished iOS 4 and JavaScript benchmarks. How do you feel about them apples? See what I did there?
Nope. Yeah, I saw this. This was this was interesting. It definitely did do that in those benchmarks. It blew it away. And I think Engadget did sort of a
browser test.
A real world test, which people kind of boo-booed as not being very accurate. But in terms of real world speed, I mean, there's not too much in it between the two.
Well, I thought they said it was twofold. And they were saying that it was twofold when they were loading it with Flash. Like, it was almost even.
Yeah. Oh, and even with Flash turned off, it was almost even.
Yeah, but with Flash turned on, it was almost even.
Yeah, it wasn't that much slower.
Which, with Flash turned on, that's a pretty big... I mean, that's like a lot more to handle. So I don't know. I think it's still...
I think it's faster. But with that said, I still don't like the browsing experience on Android as much as I like it on iPhone. I think which we've talked about. I don't like the way that it scrolls. I don't like the way that it zooms.
The one thing I wish
Safari is the way the Safari renders pages I like much better.
But I also think that they've had a head start on that. Like iPhone has had a head start on creating a mobile browser.
Yeah, but it's always been good. I think it's been
good. It's always been good. But on that same note, I think that, like, for example, like on my Evo, I would love it if the zooming experience was very similar to the iPhones.
Or what was on WebOS that zoomed in a similar way.
Right, and WebOS zoomed in a similar way. I really liked that. And it has taken me quite a while to get used to that. It's just, I just feel like Safari's kind of slow.
It doesn't feel slow to me.
Well, it's because you use a Mac.
Okay. I don't think it's slow. Anyway,
well, it's because you don't know anything else. That's the thing. Like, you don't, because you've had iPhone for years and years.
A couple, it came out 2007, yeah, for 3 years.
See, years you've used that.
That's
you don't know anything else now. It's just you're completely oblivious. Ignorance is bliss. You're happy with it because you don't know what else is out there.
You're making me sound sad.
I don't want to make you sound sad.
That's too late.
BlackBerry users, if you are out there and looking for the official Twitter client, you can have it now, and it's no longer in beta. Yeah. It's gone gold.
Amazing.
Really good. Finally. It was how long?
It
months?
was at least
months
it was months.
Of
it was
it
a
in
long
beta.
time.
So if you absolutely have a BlackBerry and you need Twitter, which I want to talk about something.
Yeah.
if you have a BlackBerry, like, isn't that because you're like a business user, like you're super businessy, like that's the reason you have a BlackBerry?
Right, that's the assumption. Musicians, I don't think, have BlackBerries too often. Oops.
Except for, we were both like,
Just take that back.
No, he's getting Android. I told
But
him.
yeah,
the
stereotype and the assumption is that BlackBerries are for business people and enterprise users.
Yeah. So if you are a business enterprise user and a Twitterer, you may now use the official Twitter client on your BlackBerry. Props to HTC. I'm excited about this story because HTC has been putting out, let's all be real, HTC has been putting out the best, probably, I would say 80%. Like if you were to take the top 10 phones on the market right now, I'd probably 7 to 8 of them would be HTC phones.
Well, that's quite a lot. I guess so. I mean, you would
maybe
have
6 to 8 of them. Would
you'd
be
have
HTC
the iPhone,
phones.
the HTC phones, and then maybe
maybe the Nexus One.
Well, who makes that? Well, that's
Google.
Yeah,
that's not HTC made.
But who makes the hardware? I thought HTC made that hardware.
It's not the HTC Nexus One.
Yeah, but who actually makes it? Google doesn't make anything. Oh, this is going to get weird here.
Yeah, they do make the Nexus One. But it's not branded HTC.
No, but some.
Okay, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so let's
Is that
continue.
correct?
So we have the iPhone, let's just say the Nexus One for posterity's sake because it's not branded HTC.
Right.
What else is out there?
What you're holding there.
This is an HTC phone.
Yeah.
You have the Incredible.
Yep.
The Droid X will be out next week.
Yeah.
You're looking at, like, what else is out there that's really, really good?
When you think of build quality, I think people think of,
like people really love
and
HTC.
Motorola. I think people like Motorola and HTC.
Somebody's in there. He's a BlackBerry user in there. I had saying stop hating on BlackBerry.
Sorry.
Sorry. But yeah, HTC forecast back in April. We had to get to the news story. HTC forecast a record $1.6 billion revenue for itself over the second quarter, but they were off in a good way. HTC raked in $1.88 billion in income over the period between April and June. Huge. 33% improvement in profits year on year.
That's a big one.
Big deal.
Yeah.
I would say mostly in part to Android.
I think so. I think that's the reasonable assumption there.
Really huge.
But God, they have to keep cranking out these phones. I mean, I would much rather be Apple and just have to make one new phone every 2 years.
Yeah.
Instead of having to crank out 10 different designs a year at least. And always updating them.
Yeah, that's true.
But
that would be a little scary. Like the Aria. Then you've got to develop. Like HTC is developing phones for middle range smartphone users, high end smartphone users. They're all over the map right now.
But they're great at it.
Really good at it.
Yeah.
Good job, HTC. For me especially, I'm sure Mike doesn't feel the same as much enthusiasm as I do. But
no.
Thank you for making such high quality phones because I really love my Evo. Okay. So Twidroid was actually acquired by TweetUp.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if you guys, I know a lot of people really like Twidroid. It is literally mentioned very often as their favorite Twitter app on Android. Apparently they were bought by TweetUp and they renamed it Twidroid with a Y as to not offend Fat Chin Lucas.
Mr. Lucas, yeah.
Jabba the Lucas.
Poor
George
guy.
the Hutt.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to start calling him. George the Hutt.
I'm sure he'll see that Y and just be,
He'll like that. I know. Why didn't I think of that? Why didn't I patent that too?
No.
You're
like, can we sue them?
Yeah, is it possible to sue? But I think that in the end, they're going to be bundling Twidroid with a whole bunch of Android phones in the next year. And I really hope that this means that we start seeing the best apps bundled with phones as opposed to the ones that throw the most money.
But who's to say what's
the richest devs?
Would you leave that up to the carrier to pick the best apps? And
No,
I
really wouldn't. And if AT&T had their way, there would be no apps. It would be just AT&T only proprietary applications. Could you imagine? They would just be like, well, this is what's best for you.
We
know what's best for you.
State of affairs that would be.
Yeah, that would be very terrifying. Speaking of terrifying, Mike, Apple may be forced to adopt Flash by EU.
Yeah, I saw this.
I'm curious as to how you feel about this, but Mike and I have regular discussions on Apple and its outright refusal to support Flash.
Its choice.
That's why it makes this story even more delicious for me to report. The European Union has something called the Digital Agenda, and what they do is they tackle a bunch of things in digital in terms of making people do certain things in the EU. This is going to be a long show. But there's one particular change I'm positive that one Stephen Jobs is pretty pissed about. And that is they want to change, there's a phrase in some of their language that says, since not all pervasive technologies are based on standards, the benefits of inoperability risk being lost in such areas. The Commission will examine the feasibility of measures that could lead dominant market players to license inoperability information while at the same time promoting innovation and competition. They want to change the word dominant market players to significant market players. So instead of the dominant market players, significant obviously means Apple.
Yeah, it could be included in that.
So there's this may potentially force Apple to do two things that it loathes to do, which number one would be to allow Flash on the iPhone.
Yeah.
I know, I see you wincing, but I think I feel like I just gave you an ulcer.
Nope.
And the other thing that I find very interesting is to allow iTunes to sync to non-iPod, iPhone, non-Apple devices.
Yep.
Which, you know, I think that's a really good thing.
I
don't think that's a bad thing.
And right. Well, yeah, this is interesting. I don't think I don't think there's any way this can happen. I don't think there's any way they could force Apple to put Flash because
this is the same group of people who forced Microsoft to put a ballot on Windows products to choose their browser because they were getting stuck with Internet Explorer, and they decided that people did not want that pre-installed on their machine.
Well, no, I don't think that was it. I think they felt that consumers...
It was like a monopoly. They were forcing it on people.
Yeah, they did not have a choice. Well, they weren't. You just didn't have a choice.
They're forcing you to not use Flash on that thing. You should have a choice to use Flash or not.
I think it's totally different. It's a completely different situation where Apple is choosing not to support a standard as opposed to offering people this other choice. There are other choices. You don't have to do this. You don't have to have an iPhone for this. I don't think there's any way this is ever going to come
But in the EU, you could buy a Mac instead of using a Windows device. You could install Linux.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
They still made Microsoft change.
But that doesn't mean that would be like... But yeah, the word significant means, I think that would also mean that they could say, well, Apple, you've got to put Blu-ray drives in your machines because that's how most people watch HD movies. And so if you're
that's how all people watch HD movies.
Well, yeah, but would you expect them to do that? To say, well, you've got to put this drive in there because that's how people watch these movies.
Yeah, I do.
It's ridiculous. It's insane. It's never going to happen.
I like people pushing Apple around.
It's never going to happen. The only thing, I think the second part where you would allow iTunes to sync to non-Apple devices seems a little bit more reasonable as an idea in terms of anti-competitiveness. But even that is just, I don't see that. I don't see how that could happen. I mean, that's Apple's, iTunes is theirs. They can do what they want with it.
I guess.
And consumers have plenty of choices, even in the socialist EU.
Even with a bunch of socialists. I disagree. But you know what?
But even if it happened over there, it wouldn't mean it would happen over here. People would just then have this hacked European...
Maybe there'd be a groundswell of people.
That's the only thing that could ever...
Yeah, exactly. No, I agree. Jacob Aaron says Apple will never change, so it's up to us to change them. Yes.
Well, yeah.
I agree.
Okay, so the way to do that is to not buy their products. And do you have a right to do that? Anyone can do that.
Like I have not bought their product.
Exactly, but but I don't think that's helping very much.
No, but it's I feel the same about Windows though. Like you don't have to buy Windows 7, but you should at least have the option. You
do have the option.
Shut it off. Like if you don't like Flash so much, just shut it off. Disable it. Disable Flash. Should be in your settings.
Well,
I don't know.
That's in a perfect world that would be there, but we don't live in that world, and so we have to live with this. And
we live in a Steve Jobs world.
We live in a
That's really depressing.
I wish I could say something. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to cheer everyone up because it's time for Epic Win, Epic Fail.
Hey.
That's the first time we've ever seen that.
Can you hear the crew laughing? I always love to hear the crew laughing.
I know, you guys can hear the crew laughing. That was hilarious. So I want to show this video to you guys. Seriously, this video speaks for itself. This is our epic win. Rock'em Sock'em Robots plus Augmented Reality equals epic win. Roll that tape.
Let's finish this. Here and now.
No. Not here. Here.
But where? I don't see anything.
Oh, really? Look again.
Oh! Hey, you set me up. Gonna knock your block off. this?
It's Mattel.
Of course.
Mattel. Knocking the block off new technology.
Yeah, so when can I download that? I want it right now. Like, that is so amazing.
Yeah, that's cool. I don't think there's any. It's not coming as far as we know anytime soon.
It has to be.
They haven't
Like, I
announced
mean,
it.
within the next. Maybe it'll come with OpenFaint. Maybe Mattel will release some. I mean, that's just so cool.
If
like,
it works like that, that's cool.
that is just so rad. Like, what a great idea. And apparently, like, if those guys were to get up and like move around, like, I mean, their robots would move.
I
with them.
think as long as you can see that little cart
Yeah.
or wherever it's supposed to be sat, then it'll work.
It's just such the coolest thing ever.
Mm.
Yeah, I know, because somebody in our chat said because my HTC Desire's battery needs abusing more. I know, but still, so amazing. I mean, it's really, really neat. Use of the technology, I mean, for sure. I would have never thought of something like that.
Oh, I would have. Anyway.
So now it's time for Epic Fail. If I had to sum it up in one acronym, it would be FML. Apparently, HTC gets our Epic Fail of the week. And
Yeah,
this
that's
just,
they just
why?
had this high from the highest to the
The
lowest.
highest of the high to the lowest of the low. Apparently, HTC's global PR and online community manager, Eric Lin, went on the record and said that the company will be done with their Froyo updates before Christmas.
Oy, yeah.
And this is not like some weird Christmas somewhere else in the world that happens in like July. This is like Christmas.
End of December Christmas.
Oh, why? And
It's-
he said that porting all of HTC's applications with the Sense UI and everything over to 2.2 and the testing the software is just this huge task.
I mean, if it takes this long for 2.2, how in the heck long is it going to take?
We're
for
never going to get gingerbread.
That's
Oh my
insane.
God. Well, and it's like when I read that, because we've been talking about this,
Mm-hmm.
and I, in my wildest nightmares, would have never guessed that 2.2 would have come any later than August.
No, August I said to you as a joke.
Yeah,
I'm like, it's
you
going
were
to take
like
till August. 'cause
and I was
you
like
said
mid-July.
I'm
Like,
ah.
man, mid-July, it'll take 6 weeks. It'll be fine. I'm sure they've been working on it. Well, what a fool me once, shame on me. Like, let me tell you. Yeah, exactly. It's just release it without Sense UI. That's what I say.
Yeah.
You know, fortunately, we have people like CyanogenMod and the XDA developers community who are working on rooting phones and getting out ROMs that are 2.2. I think there's a really good one out that came out either this week or something like that. And amazing, like really amazing. The only thing it doesn't work on is the camera. There's everything else is running. But they released they officially released the source code for the source kernel for the Evo last week. So I'm looking forward to see what everybody does. That and CyanogenMod got an Evo donated to him or sold to him for very cheap by an enterprising individual who appreciates that the rest of the community needs hacks for the Evo. So I'm thank you for that. But yeah, it's really depressing.
Should
really,
because you're going to be
just
stuck
bums me
with
out.
that. You're going to be stuck with that OS till the end of the year.
Till the end of time. No, I'm rooting my phone. I don't care what it takes.
Do you even see what a nightmare and hassle?
That's
it is.
Yeah, no,
You're
it is.
forced
It
to do that.
is a
Really
nightmare.
is scary.
You
on
have
that
to
phone.
you have to factory reset a whole bunch of times. I mean, it's just such a what a hassle.
I mean, even jailbreaking is easy on this thing.
Yeah, that's true.
Not that I do it, but
No,
it's
you would
pretty-
never do that.
I wouldn't say
You wouldn't
never.
hurt Steve Jobs' feelings that way.
I wouldn't say never, but I choose not to.
Okay, all right, that's fair. All right, you know what? I'm done with the news.
Yeah.
Let's talk about our app of the week.
Let's go to the app of the week.
Well, everybody, our app of the week this week is Diacarta, which is an elegant and artistic daily planner for iPhone. Diacarta makes it easy and fun to schedule events and tasks using its simple and beautiful, it's an icon-based interface.
That's right.
And actually, we have a short movie that really captures its function. Can we run that? And that was a really, I thought it was a pretty sufficient and fun way to show how Diacarta works. And our guest today is Diacarta's creator, Jake Yanchar. Hi, Jake. How are you doing? He's with us via Skype today.
I'm doing wonderful. How are you guys?
Good,
We're
good.
great, Jake.
So, so we saw the video, and but why don't you give us just the elevator pitch for Diacarta? If somebody asks you in an elevator, "What's Diacarta? How do I use it?"
Well, first off, thanks. I'm really honored to be on tonight. I watched some of the back episodes, and I can't believe I'm on the same show that featured the guy that had the accelerator for the slot track. So I feel pretty cool. And in fact, I was just looking out my window. Actually, some neighbors are over, and the guy that just created that video was just walking past me with a beer, and I've been sitting here not saying a word for a while. So I hope my voice works and everything. But Diacarta, I guess, is just an app that it provides a way to see your day in picture form. It's just a completely different way, we feel, to indicate what you have to do for a day, and it's fully functioning like other planners, but it's just the way that I always kind of have thought about how to plan your day.
Very cool.
So, Jake, what was the impetus to create this? I mean, you're the creator. Was it this visual style that you first thought of that you wanted to expand on? Yes.
I don't know where the impetus was. I mean, essentially, I guess I'm still a full-time lawyer, and I worked at a big firm in New York City, and it was interesting listening to the Blackberry discussion about, that was me, and that was, at a big law firm on Wall Street, you use the Blackberry, and your secretary can put appointments in, and your firm and your partners that are yelling at you all the time can tell you, or can see where you are, where you're supposed to be. I started my own firm about 3 years ago, based out of my home. My wife still works in downtown Cleveland, and I all of a sudden became the kind of the kid toter, pet veterinarian taker. My day started to look a lot different than it did when I was, at a desk job, a day job with, a bunch of other employees, and none of the planners were working for me. So this is kind of the way that I'd always plan my day. To college, I mean, I'm not a very good artist, but I'm somewhat artistic, and I would always, whether it was a moleskin or just scraps of paper, plan my day with pictures, and I would, take a clock on each page, and if I had a hot date with my now wife, I would just draw a big heart, and that would be the only thing on my day. And I got an iPhone about 2 or 3 years ago. I wasn't extreme early adopter, but just started to think, hey, there might be something here with the touch screen and moving things around, and here we are.
Very cool. So you mentioned when Mike actually first got in contact with you, you had mentioned that the software had an interesting birth, so to speak. So what was it that made the gestation of the app so interesting?
I thought about that, and I think it's just the fact that it took so long. And, I can barely, in the last 2 months, I've learned how to send a tweet. I mean, I'm not extremely a Luddite, but this just kind of transferred from how do I get what I've done on a notebook
onto a screen,
onto a mobile device.
Very cool.
So we through a bunch of lucky connections, we worked with a firm in India called Workle, and a now friend who runs a design firm here in Cleveland's Little Italy, Little Jacket. We just partnered up and made it happen, and it just, I guess the uniqueness was that this isn't our day jobs, but we
right, or that you didn't even have a background in development. I mean, that's really cool that you took the ball and ran with it, so to speak. I mean, you really just were like, you really believed in what you were doing. And I think that's so important for developers, even people who don't necessarily, like if you're out there and you have an idea for an app, or you have an idea for something for a niche that's not being filled in the market, I mean, that's such an opportunity for somebody, even like yourself. You're like, you don't have a big background in development, but yet you made it happen, and it's popular.
Yeah, I mean, it's been an adventure. We almost considered this a soft release. We did not put the time. I mean, I was happy with it, and it was kind of my idea. And the day that I could actually plan my day on it was one of the happiest days. I was like, it works, And
you're like,
that took a while. Exactly. It took a while to get there, but we got there, and we're just overwhelmed with the response. I mean, we still have our day jobs, and we have no designs on that changing, but we really have appreciated the good comments. And, it's been just a real organic process with, we thought we might have to give away 500 versions of it to get the comments that we've got. And we're really excited about version 2.
Very cool. And so what's the cost of Diacarta on the market?
It's $1.99.
Oh, I'm sorry. I shouldn't say the market. It's in the App Store. I was saying the store, the market, the freaking world. There's a million of them. So $1.99 for Diacarta.
Correct.
Okay. And Mike, you were wondering about the.
Oh well, Jake, you just mentioned version 2. I assume that's going to be an iOS 4 version.
Yes, that's we're gonna again maybe that's another unique gestation story is that we started in iOS 2 or whatever it was. This has been going on for a while. We had a version early that we were really disappointed in, and we realized the changes we needed to make. And then we released it in iOS 3 10 days before iOS 4 was available. So we're hard at work. We're working with the developers. We're working with the graphical design guys and Little Jacket, and really trying to figure out what we can do to update it. I mean, clearly, in-app alerts are what everyone is requesting, and we agree. And recurring events, there's some other things that are now available, as well as just some things that we realize people are going to want and would like to have in it. So.
Yeah, we definitely have seen, I mean, in the comments that we've seen, a lot of people really wanted recurring events. That was a big thing for them, and also alerts. I know that, Mike, you had actually had an idea in terms of, do you guys plan at all to have the ability to be able to drag events to the right and be able to move them forward in time?
That was actually part of the original plan, and that was something that we had written into the statement of work with the developers. And this has been the trouble of getting a notebook into a mobile device, is there's so little space on the screen, and all of the zones are, I'm learning a lot about development now, and there's so little room. So we tried to do it. It kind of took away from the core functionality that we thought was, pretty solid, that was working. So we're excited for the iPad because there's a lot of some new great ideas for that.
A little bit more space to work with.
Closer to the size of a Moleskine notebook.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Do you guys in the iPhone 4 release, or even for just version 2? Are there any specific enhancements for iPhone 4 that you guys have planned that you might be able to talk about? Like, for example, will we ever see syncing with Google calendars, or syncing with iCal? Obviously seems like a little bit more of a native thing because it's an Apple device, but even syncing with Google Calendar or Facebook events, or things like that.
Absolutely. As we kind of calm down here and start to get back to earth and figure out how to make things work, we syncing isn't, I know that you guys appreciate it. It's not quite as easy as it just a software update. How do you make a word equal a picture and a picture equal a word? We're working really hard and thinking about how that is going to work, because like I said, we're real proud of how solid this app is in terms of version 1. So we want to make sure when we do that it does really work.
Right. Like, and if you have like a keyword, like if you say like dinner at X time, like it would put a food thing. Like it would recognize that sort of keyword in your event planning, but you'd have to sort of know what keywords to use. And yeah, I can imagine that would be really, especially syncing in from a large format calendar that you have on a laptop or a desktop, would be incredibly time consuming.
Yeah, plus I could imagine overlapping events just causing a lot of havoc on this kind of
it's like
simple
there's just
interface.
Circles everywhere. It's like, it's crazy. And you're just like, oh my God, I have too much happening. Like, that's the one thing that always freaks me out. I'm like, if I ever used an app like Diacarta, I'd get freaked out because there'd be so many circles on my screen that I just would not be able to see anything. Look at how pretty this is. I mean, we're showing it up on the screen right now. I mean, and it's so elegant and functional. Like, let's say,
well, this is my little day that I had planned out, and we have This Week in Mobile number 5.
This Week in Mobile number 5,
here,
very
and then
cool. And
maybe
then
drinks afterwards, and dinner and a movie. And it was just a lot of. I mean, this was just a lot of fun to add events like this.
You know, you guys can see all the different icons that you have available to you, like a party, recycle. If you were going to recycle at a certain time, I mean, geez, you're going to go taste wine, cut your hair, ride a horse.
Which riding a horse is something I plan to do tomorrow.
Yeah,
after swimming.
and swim. I didn't even know you could swim.
I can't swim.
Okay.
Well, Jake, we were talking a little bit about syncing and syncing with calendars and things. So, and I think you talked about it a little bit. But how hard has it been to keep the balance between simplicity and adding features that people say that they want?
Well, there's that's a really good question. There's two camps. I mean, there's one, the majority of the comments it seems are, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen. It's phenomenal, but it doesn't sync. Or the people that aren't in love with it right off the bat, but there's also a handful of the people that are just saying keep it like it is.
Yep.
But I guess the consumer is always right. So to me, it's perfect. It's not perfect, but there's two camps. There's a keep it independent as your calendar, and there's the other camp that is it's not standalone. It's just sync with something. So we want to absolutely make it an option. So the people that can just use this, they can use it, and the people that can sync, we're working on it. It's been interesting because you get both sides of the coin. In terms of adding functionality though and keeping it simple, it hasn't been that hard. I mean, with recurring events, that was my oversight. I had fun adding an event. Every week.
You're like, woo, I love this. I want to do it every week at the same time.
Okay. And with the alarms and the alert notification, again, that was a bigger problem in the last operating system.
Right.
It's much easier now. So that's as I said, we've been trying to get our feet back to the ground here, but trying to run it like a good company with good customer service and trying to incorporate all of these overwhelming comments that are 99% great, that people are just really digging it. So, but we're excited to keep these users happy and maybe even convert more as we start to sync and have recurring events and alerts and et cera, et cetera.
So Jake, speaking of converting, do you guys have any plans to cross-platform and have an Android version, or if Blackberry 6 comes out later this year, are you guys looking to kind of run the gamut of mobile platforms, Windows Phone 7? I mean, are you guys looking to get into everything? Are you guys just sticking with the big two right now, or only iTunes?
It's simply a matter of how much of my kids' college education we can risk. We just hope. I mean, we absolutely would love this to be everywhere.
So then don't sell it in the Android market because everyone will want it for free. Everyone will be like, this should be free.
Very interesting discussion you guys are having, and I think Will, the engineer, said I could chime in, but I wasn't sure if that was the case. But that's absolutely a fabulous discussion, and there's two camps, and we just hope that we got a really good product out there rather than getting something out quick, waiting for comments, and maybe having it just disappear. We're pretty proud of, and that's why it took maybe 2 years to get it there.
Right. It's done when it's done, as opposed to it'll be in beta for a year, and then we'll figure it out as we go. I think that I think just in general, I think if you put something out, I mean, for as an Android user, if you put something out in the Android market and it's really good, I think that. See, you didn't silence your phone either. Who's calling you? You don't know anybody.
Stop.
That's Steve Jobs. See, he's there. He watches you while you sleep.
Sorry.
No, I think that as an Android user, if you put something out there that is a high quality product at what your price is, $199, which is relatively inexpensive.
No, I bought it right away.
Yeah, all things considered. I mean, there's some scheduling apps out there that are like, personal assistant apps that are $5, $6, $7, $10.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, and for something so pretty, I just it's just so visual. And I really love that. And if you put it out there in the Android market, I'm sure people will buy it. And you may actually be able to fund your kids' college educations. There was a guy, remember that it was right when we started doing This Week in Android, we interviewed a guy who was making $17,000 a month off of a GPS car locator app.
Oh yeah.
In Android. And it was a very simple to do app, and it was well done, and a lot of people bought it. So I mean, there's such an opportunity for you to really get out there and get it, just go for the gold, as it were. What are you working on next? Is there anything is there anything that either Diacarta can talk about, or you specifically? Are you developing any other apps, or are you just focused on this? I mean, you said you weren't a really big technophile, as it were, but anything else in the pipeline? No, we are pretty much just filtering through, deciphering all of the comments that we've received. Really excited about version 2. I mean, the iPad, we're extremely excited about, increasing the functionality and making the graphics even more pretty. I mean, like I said, the company Little Jacket, they absolutely just took this thing over after we were coming up with just butting our heads against this wasn't working. It just doesn't look right. So, I mean, in terms of tapping into the phone's pictures to have as icons, allowing people to create their own icons, the possibilities with the notifications. Oh, Mike would love that, to create his own icons.
Or I just was thinking of
Mike's
using
a graphic designer.
Or using the camera would be fun too.
Yeah.
Right, you could have a picture of, I mean, not only just a picture of Mike or a picture of Ashley that, I have an appointment at this time, but you could have a picture of a beach if you want to, get in shape to go to the gym because you're going on vacation. I mean, there's just, the creativity that this stemmed from with, me doing silly drawings on a blank piece of paper. We want to continue to move towards allowing that creativity on a mobile device, which has been a challenge, but that's kind of the goal.
Well, I think that it's so often, Nuno, Maya in our chat room mentioned this, and I was just about to say this, so you're a little bit psychic, Nuno, which is that I think a lot of times in terms of development, especially for apps in the mobile space, we tend to see UI elements and visual function kind of get swept aside for basic functionality. We tend to see things that are a little bit, I don't want to say boring because that's not the word I'm looking for, but it's the first one that comes to mind. Like it's not boring, but it's so nerdy. Like it's not like, and I say that with so much love because I'm a nerd too, and but it's just very cut and dry. It's very dry. That's the best word that I can find to describe it. It's the artists and people who can really bring a UI to life are so easily just swept under the rug. And I feel like this particular app is so important in terms of showing people that you can have an app that's very functional but also extremely fun and visual to look at and use. And I just, it's an amazing combination of the two. And I really feel like you guys have sort of met in the middle in terms of UI and design and really making the functionality of the app extremely usable and efficient. So, but I think that's all the time we have.
I'm afraid so.
I'm sad. It's like I'm looking at the clock. I'm like, no. But that's our app of the week, everybody. So Jake Yanchar, creator of Diacarta, thank you so much for coming on the show with us today.
It was a pleasure. I appreciate those nice words there at the end, and it was a lot of fun. If you guys ever want to shoot me an email, ask me a question, anything like that, this has been a real fun adventure.
Well, if you keep in touch with us, and if you ever release that Android version, we'll have you back on the show. Or even, Windows Mobile 7. I'd be curious to find, even
I doubt
any
there's
of our
going to be
other
a Windows Mobile 7 version of this.
But even our older app developers, anybody who decides to develop cross-platform after we've talked to them as a single platform development,
that'd be an interesting conversation.
Yeah, I'd love to talk. I'd love to talk to you. If you guys do decide to port it, I'd love to talk to you and your team. If you have, the people who are actually developing it and programming it, I'm very curious to see what their process was and how they found it in terms of developing cross-platform. But, okay, so Jake Yanchar, Diacarta, you can find it on the Apple App Store. It's $1.99. Cheap.
Yep.
For what it does, amazing price.
one of the new and noteworthies just yesterday. So we're kind of celebrating.
That's great.
Yeah,
New and noteworthy.
See you when you go to the App Store.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very
People are
cool.
noticing it.
So go to the App Store, notice it some more. Download it, get it out there, tell your friends. And for those of you watching the show in our chat room, we have the link available, the iTunes link available in our chat room. And you can find Diacarta online at dia-carta.com. And you can also find them on Twitter at Diacarta, no dash, just D-I-A-C-A-R-T-A.
Yep.
And Jake, again, thank you so much for coming on the show. We're so happy to have you. And everybody, that's Diacarta, our app of the week.
Thanks, Jake.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Have a good night.
Well, that was our app of the week.
Yeah, it's cool.
I know. It's every time I get sad when app of the week's over because I know it's time for the show to end.
I know, especially since you can't play with the app.
No, I
and
can't.
have fun scheduling events like me.
I really do want to see it on. I really would love to see it on Android. It's an important. I think it's an important app.
I mean, it really fits well on the iPhone, but I think it would do well on Android as well.
Oh, I think so too. I think a lot of people would really like it because I mean, there's not a lot of good. The HTC calendar for the widget for the Evo is amazing. Like, I mean, if we're gonna switch over to we'll switch over to my calendar there. It's so pretty, and don't look at my background. I'm a freak, and those are definitely not sperm swimming around on my background.
Oh, you got your fish going?
Those are my fish. Those are fish.
Innocent little fish.
Yeah, they're innocent white fish. Small tadpoles, if you will.
Small little
They're small
white tadpoles.
Yeah. Baby frogs. Anyway, yeah, I really love the, it's just such a great, the calendar app for HTC is fantastic. The widgets and everything, I mean, it's beautiful. But I did see the circuit board thing, and I actually have it. If you guys want to see it,
I sent that to actually.
I want to totally talk about this. So yeah, Mike sent this to me. He's like, you have to check this out, and it's so amazing. It's so beautiful, and I love using it.
It was like $1, right?
Yeah, it was $1. 99 yen. And okay, so here's the background.
You got it. It's cool.
It's so beautiful.
Where's the Android? Oh, there it is in the fan, right?
Yeah. So there's little things that you can use, like, I mean, they'll light up and everything, and there's a binary clock right here. You guys can see that. So if I set that wallpaper, I can go to one of my screens that I'm not using, and like you can see, they have like the little Androids light up. These things, like everything is just so cool and functional, and you can do all sorts of fun stuff with
Where's
this.
the little? It has like a GPS light, I think, too. It shows the GPS.
It's on the
and
main
Wi-Fi.
screen, like, and
It's by the clock.
There it is. You guys can see right there. It'll say
Wi-Fi.
GPS, Wi-Fi, blue. Like if your Bluetooth's available, Wi-Fi, if you have anything turned on, like so I have my GPS off and my Bluetooth off, and then it has the really neat binary clock. It is so awesome. Like, go get it. It's 99 yen. It's like a little over $1. I think it's like $1.07. It's so worth it.
Yeah.
Really, really cool. It totally geek background if you want one. But anyway, okay, so now we've got over that.
Okay.
Are we giving one of these away?
No? Well, yeah,
maybe?
sure.
We're thinking about it?
I think so, but I don't think we thought of any good reason to do so, or a good question or something like this.
Maybe we should have people write an essay, or I don't know, what should we do? Maybe an intro, make an intro for the show.
That sounds like a lot. I mean, these are just really, they shouldn't put that much effort into giving weird...
Maybe our Twitter maybe we'll give it away on Twitter.
Yeah, okay. How about you give these away?
I will give it away on Twitter.
Because you have a lot more Twitter followers than I do.
So if you have an iPhone 4 and you want a bumper...
A green one.
A green one that's Android colored.
Yeah.
Very cool. You can follow me on Twitter at AndroidAshley, and you can follow me on Twitter, and I will give this away on when do you want to give this out?
Let's do it this weekend.
Let's say Monday. Let's give people a couple of days.
Okay, because the weekend don't make them do anything over the weekend.
Yeah, no, I don't want to make people work hard over the weekend, like following people on Twitter. Yeah, it's very confusing. So, you know what we should do? We should give it away on the show next week.
Brilliant, much better.
I like that. Okay, so you have a whole week to follow me, Android Ashley, on Twitter, and we will give away an iPhone 4 bumper for you. It's a $30 value.
And I'm 30, yeah.
I'm gonna have other stuff. I'm gonna have Android stuff to give away too. So don't feel bad, Android fans. We will have that. I'm very excited to give away something. We're gonna have lots of giveaways. Like, I'm all about giveaways.
Yeah, but why are we giving this away? You're gonna ask the question, or they have to just follow you and you pick one at random?
Follow and we pick one at random.
Pick one at random of one of your new followers, or just any of
Everybody. Everybody. We'll pick anybody.
Okay.
How are you finding this, by the way?
You
haven't put one on your phone. You don't want to because it's too big.
No, I have a black one here, and.
Put it on your phone. I want to see what it looks like. This is very interesting to me because Mike is the kind of person, just so everyone knows, Mike is the kind of person who hates to put things on his phone.
That's true, because
you hate disturbing the form factor.
Right, because they're brilliant people that have designed this, and I hate to just like put a plastic case on it. But this is a little bit different.
Made.
It's the Apple case. So I thought, okay, well,
Steve Jobs made that for you.
Steve
with
Jobs
love.
said this and said, okay, this is okay.
That came from his turtleneck.
Let's go with this.
He's happy for you.
But I mean, okay, so it's $30. It's way too much, but I mean, it is kind of nice. It has its own buttons.
Did you just admit that the bumper was way too much?
Yeah.
It's
way too much.
Hear you do
it's way too much, even for Apple. I mean, even if they were $20, Apple would still be making like, I don't know, 8,000% profit on it. But it's $30. It's insane. But this is it. So it's like, it's got metal and plastic. It's like 3 materials. They tried to make it as nice as possible, and the phone fits really quite well inside of it. Let me see if I can.
I'm gonna laugh when it doesn't fit.
Put this in here.
You know what though? It's buy a Livestrong bracelet. That's what, like, buy a bracelet and just get an exact. It's $1.
Look at the fit here.
I mean, it does look very nice.
It fits beautifully, but what I don't like about it is that now all of a sudden it just looks like, hey, I've got an old 3G iPhone with an in-case on it. I don't have anything new, so I kind of don't like that about it. But what I do like is that it kind of raises the glass up off the surface when you put it down.
I guess.
And it does.
I still think it's a clever ruse by Apple to like they've never made a proprietary case before, and then all of a sudden they make this case, and it's
just
so convenient
to me. It fits right into the narrative that people might have, that there's something that they knew about the antenna.
I'm going to put on my tinfoil hat right now and tell you that this is a conspiracy.
Because they've never made a case for a phone, and now lo and behold, they made one.
Magically,
just at the time
3 years later, they have a case for this phone.
That covers up.
Come on. Really? Really?
It's hard to believe.
You don't think it's
no, because conspiracies,
plausible.
Anything's possible. But
conspiracies are great.
They are great because they're impossible to prove or disprove. And
exactly.
So they're a lot of fun to think about, which means we fill a void, but it might be true. But anyway, regardless, it's okay. It's not worth $30, but I'm looking forward to the.
Well, I'm glad you're honest.
Well, why wouldn't I be honest?
Because some Apple people are like, this bumper is amazing.
What person could say this is worth $30?
Magical.
It would be insane to say. But I mean, with that said, I did pay for it.
I know you did. You paid for it.
But I thought for the show it'd be worth talking about. For the show.
You did it for the show. Well, thank you for doing that for the show. Would you have bought one if you weren't on the show?
I think so. Anyway.
Oh, that's depressing.
That's sad.
That is sad.
I mean, if we weren't giving that one away, I would take it back.
You're like, this one I want to keep too. Well, you could buy them in different colors to match your costumes.
I thought, but this is the other thing. And the other thing I didn't like about it is that, the iPhone 4, the thing is the design is so beautiful and precise and metal and sort of machined and nice like this. And then all of a sudden, you put this sort of cartoon thing around it.
It does look a little bubblish.
It changes the whole aesthetic and kind of ruins it.
It's like very...
It ruins it. But I do like, there's one that I don't think I can pull it up, the one called the Vapor Case.
Oh, yeah.
Made by Element Case. It's like a machined aluminum that actually screws around.
I don't think we don't have my screen up.
Oh, that's right.
There's a really neat one that's called Vapor
Yeah,
Case.
from Element Case, and actually it screws around the device, and that looks good. I think it kind of fits the aesthetic of the phone better, and I might try one of those because there's times when I go out mountain climbing, rock climbing, and I don't want to have the phone exposed like this. So.
Yeah, there's our undying crew, our never-tiring crew is looking for this Vapor Case right now. They're really cool. I like that. Nuno says, iPhone with a bumper is like Ashley with a burqa.
Oh, there's the Element Case.
This is this real neat Element Case. They're really nice form factor. I mean, I like that a lot better than this hideous thing.
Yeah, I mean, it looks cool around the phone. It's a little bit OTT, over the top maybe, but it's cool. They're $80. They're kind of expensive.
Yeah.
But
that seems a little much.
I think they'll sell plenty of those.
$30 for this seems outrageous.
Yeah, but at least it's machined or something. It looks. I think it looks. That looks. It's expensive, but you can almost justify it. But these are pretty insane.
The last thing I want to talk about before we end the show is this is like I don't want to call it newsworthy, but it was in the news. It was on Engadget earlier today.
Yeah, that's right before we left.
Mike was kind enough to make a square for us. So there was a there was a thing reported on Engadget, Boy Genius Report. I mean, it's like all over, Into Mobile. Like there's a whole bunch of websites, and there were. There was a screen, like a touch screen, that was being created in some factory.
And so Taiwan, some Apple-branded little tiny touch screen.
3 centimeters by 3 centimeters.
Yeah, tiny.
Now, a lot of people in the comments section were saying it's a touchpad. It's a touchpad for your new MacBook Pro.
Right.
Blah blah blah. But
This is not a touchpad.
I don't think that the people in that chat or in that comment section realize 3 centimeters is by 3 centimeters is this.
They were in the town of Lilliput.
They were thinking, they were thinking inches, but this is 3 centimeters.
That's 3 by 3.
This is 3 by 3
centimeters.
So I don't think this is the new MacBook touchpad.
No, I don't think so. No.
Like, I'm pretty sure this is not it.
Unless they've just gone mad.
It's some kind of touch screen or some kind of screen.
Is it a display? It looks like a display.
A display, maybe.
It looked like a display.
Okay.
Display.
So it looked like a display. Now, let's talk about what could go on here.
Right. A little album. A little
A
tiny
little album
record.
cover, maybe? A little album? That's like, it's...
Ashley said a shuffle touch.
I said a shuffle touch. I think it's an Apple shuffle touch.
iPod shuffle touch.
Yeah. But it's a little tiny. I mean,
I think
nothing.
maybe it's
Look
a
at
part
that.
of the new Nano.
It's just a little thing.
Or maybe it's the back.
Nano.
Could be the back of something.
You were talking about the Apple remote.
Oh yeah,
Apple
or maybe
TV?
speculation. Maybe it's part of a new multi-touch Apple remote, or.
That's what I said. Willie V Wade was saying in our chat room. He said, "Look like a fingerprint sensor to me," and that's what I was talking about. I said,
you said that.
This looks like a fingerprint sensor.
I agree.
Just the right size for a finger.
That. But I don't think Apple has ever.
If you're George Lucas, you'll need 2.
I don't think they've. I think that they've made there's an effort to put fingerprint sensors on Macs. There's no push for that.
I suppose.
So I think maybe it's a watch. Maybe it's an iPhone watch or an iPod watch.
That is the most ridiculous
I know it's
thing.
stupid. It's very stupid, but it's like the right size. The size is like good. The size is good. It would fit on your wrist.
It would fit on your. I guess so. Well, I have really tiny wrists.
Me
So
too.
I guess that would be. Yeah, that would kind of be a normal size watch, I suppose.
But,
I'm like sweating.
Or maybe it would
I'm sorry,
be, maybe
everybody.
it would be,
I'm gross.
Or maybe something that could. Well, no, they wouldn't make a watch because watches are passé. But I mean, something that could maybe
like a
display.
Dick Tracy watch. Maybe it calls you.
Or
maybe
it was linked to.
I like your title this week. I hate Flash. I made that for you. Just so you know, your title this week is really, really great. Yeah, nobody can say Dick Tracy in the chat room. Sorry, censored Tracy. It's a censored Tracy watch.
Richard Tracy.
Richard Tracy.
It's a Richard Tracy watch.
Tracy watch. Richard Tracy, where are you? Yeah, so,
I don't know,
3 centimeters by 3 centimeters. Not a touchpad.
Don't think so.
I think we're gonna go ahead and call that one right now. If it is a touchpad, I will.
I mean, yeah, touchpad on
I will wear an Apple shirt.
As part of what device? I can't imagine.
I don't even know. That just, I mean, this is 3 centimeters, people, not inches. Centimeters.
Maybe
well, the pictures don't really do it justice. I mean, when you see it, it looks like large. I mean, it looks like a 3 by 3. I mean, it looks like
it looks
a
like a
3 inch by 3
touchpad.
inch
It looks
thing.
like I can see why people thought that.
But yeah, no, this is actually 3 centimeters by 3 centimeters.
So
someone got really close with the macro lens and took some pictures.
It must be an iPod of some kind, part of an iPod.
It has to be. I think it's going to be a shuffle. Oh, an optical scroll pad. That's interesting.
Yeah, but where?
Yeah.
On the back of something? That's. I mean,
we'll find out, I'm sure.
Regardless.
In a couple months.
We'll find out, I think, by September.
I was going to say, you did not just say irregardless.
I didn't. I would never say it on TV.
You would never say that on TV. All right.
On the internet.
I'm gonna stop this. This is madness.
It's
all
going,
this
we're
speculation.
We're going long.
It's getting out of hand. All right, so I would like to thank Jake Yanchar, the creator of Diacarta, our app of the week. You can find them on Twitter at Diacarta. If you would like to follow the gentlemanly and tie-wearing Michael Hobbs, you may do so at Valis23.
Yep.
Which is, you know, he can use some followers.
That would give me an excuse to tweet more, because as it is, I don't.
Yeah, you're not a big tweeter.
Well, yeah, I'm kind of embarrassed by the whole thing.
Why?
I don't know.
I love to tweet.
Yeah, I don't know what to say.
Well, regardless. If you want to follow me, you can follow me at Android Ashley. Also, again, we're going to give away a bumper next week if you're an iPhone 4 fan.
Oh.
And we'll also have Android stuff to give away in the next couple weeks. And you can follow the show, TWI_mobile. So this week in mobile.
Yeah.
You can follow us on Twitter. Also, if you're interested in heading to Austin, October 3rd, Sunday, October 3rd, the big Android barbecue is happening. Sponsored by, I mean, there's so many people. AndroidandMe.com are going to be there. The Droid guy's going to be there. I mean, it's going to be great. And they already have, you get a cool T-shirt. There's going to be beer and meat. Like, I mean, that's
meat?
a party. Yeah, well, that's what you do at a barbecue.
Meat that you eat.
Meat, yeah. Well, and you'll be able to meet people.
Okay.
Yeah, so you definitely want to check out Android Barbecue. I think they're getting one together in the UK as well, if you search UK Android Barbecue, which is pretty neat. And
but we're going to be there at the BBQ.
We're going. So if you want to meet me and Mike Hobbs this week in Mobile is going to be at the Big Android Barbecue in October.
Yeah.
And next week, I'm really excited about this. If you're interested, we have an author who's coming on the show next week, and his name is William Powers, and he wrote this book, Hamlet's Blackberry. And it's a practical philosophy for building a good life in the digital age. And I'm really excited to talk to him. So make sure you come in next week. Like, it's going to be really interesting, and I feel like it'll be something different. I want to give everybody more mobile, more everything, more a little bit of everything from everywhere. So we also have other shows. Thisweekend.com. You can check out all of our other shows. You can catch our entertainment block on Sundays, featuring the devastatingly interesting Kevin Pollak's chat show.
Funny.
Very funny, very interesting. I mean, some of the people he has on, he has Paul Rudd on, Sherry O'Terry. I mean, he's had so many great people on. He had the Fonz on, and there was an earthquake.
Oh, during the Henry Winkler.
Yeah. And then you can also watch our Geek Block on Thursdays with This Week in iPad, Video Games, and Music.
Great.
Really, really cool. And you will not find a better-looking group of people hosting shows you actually care about anywhere else.
This is so true.
Very true. But on behalf of everyone here at This Weekend, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.